thoughts from the perspective of the first hands of how we can maybe do similar things. From January 2015, I'm launching for a Battleships. That means for Eastern Europe and post-USSR countries. It's my first time here, and well, let's start. Just a short table of content we'll be discussing. First, U4 signature, basically what it's known for. U4 cool stuff, which is a bunch of facts that you may be aware or not, but all of them can actually give you an actual advantage, like on anything that you develop. Then we're going to be basically discussing how you can implement actually the different type of pipelines. Through like API video, like more like established countries video, or like developing your own IP. And then summarize that, and there is a showcase. Because of the format of this presentation, I cannot really reverse engineer like any of this, but I will try to show you each of these examples, which are all third party, done by small groups of people that were achieving like great goals. And if you would be interested, we can discuss any of this later due to the show. And we'll just very sure to discuss that. So, Unreal Engine signature. Like we'll learn for like Unreal Engine 4, but just a little bit of history. Last year, the CEGC became completely free, which means you can download an engine, you can start developing anything, and there's like nothing you should pay, until you get like 3 francs per quarter. And if there is, then you're up to 5% plus rate. It's open source. It's open source, and it's really, like clean code. Because if you've been dealing with that, you probably know that. It's being done that, because we're shifting from U3 to U4. It's a different thing. It's been kind of cool. Like it's all on GitHub, like,
Another great thing about the blueprints is if you've been in development, you know that sometimes between engineers and designers, like you have a document which could have many meanings where a lot of people read this, right? And that could be frustration and many iterations in the production. With the blueprints, and if you move your pipeline to a point where your designers do these small prototypes and blueprints, it's almost 100% guaranteed that your engineers would understand this logic. So you just drastically go down with a number of iterations, and your development is just more clean and less. Basically, it's mitigating risks. Cool stuff, right? We're pretty much on the edge. Our development pipeline supports all of the major trends of the industry. Reducing, due to the blueprints which I mentioned, there are multiple ways of reducing your production cost and getting more fast iterative development. By supporting all of the major platforms, like you can easily develop a game in design, meaning of how you could port it between the platforms and then start moving it from one to another with really low cost, because like ports are easy. We're super into VR and AR, right, things. We're strong believers of this whole thing. So I have a separate slide about it. And basically, if you want to be like on the edge of stuff that you do, you know, like you kind of like, we're obviously a good choice to start working with us. Unreal development grants. Can you raise hands in audience, like from who heard about what Unreal development grants, what it is? No? Nobody? Nobody heard about it? All right, some people. So basically, like last year, we declared a program, you know, which we encourage you to use. If you have a game or a prototype, or you do something cool with an engine, you can file an application, and we would actually look at it to provide you a grant between $5,000 and $50,000 to help you finish your product, because we would like that to happen. There is no strings attached. You do not give us your IP. It doesn't stop you from going to crowdfunding. It's just simply a grants program for $5 million. You know, like we would like to distribute to developers to assist them in achieving their goals. Mic drop. So marketplace politics. We also have a marketplace. The overall logic of it is like everything you pick up at the marketplace, you can use it in your games. Like some of the content is free, and some of the content is what Epic gives to developers. From recent editions, we just went, let's say, public with all of the assets from Infinity Blade that costed at a point around like $3 million, you know, like, and you can download all of that and you can use it in your games, and there is nothing, you know, like literally stopping you from doing this. That concerns all of the assets that we have out there. You can commercially use everything that you downloaded for free, or like any pack that you downloaded, which is kind of cool because like maybe it doesn't make a lot of sense if you have a game rich on unique content, but if you go for like a prototype development, or if you're trying to build a prototype to show to somebody you're going to work together on a contract or whatever, it actually makes a lot of sense to save you money, you know, like at this initial stage. Helping with promotions. I mean, a lot of people would be like, all right, so you're saying like an engine is free, right? I mean, but there is this 5%, and this is not completely free, which is, yes, I mean, like it makes sense, but we're proposing a lot, and at the same time, what it engaging us in a form of a partnership where Epic is interested in actually helping getting out your product out there. Because if you would not make any money, we would not make any money, you know, like, and we're really trying to assist. So with helping on promotions, if you have any material that you would like to get public, and you would like to attract a lot of traction and attention to it, we encourage you to actually get in touch with us. We'll try to help you on social channels promotion, you know, like through Twitter, through Facebook, through all of the social kind of stuff. We also may get you in touch with some press, like regional press, or like big outside press, which is essential as well if you do some kind of a crowdfunding activities. If you go for a Kickstarter or Indiegogo, you know, like just ping us. We have a specialized for it. We'll get you in touch to our support community department, and they will help you. Also, if you have a game at a stage where you think it makes sense to show it to publishers, and you want to go this model, right? I mean, like, you could get in touch with us as well, and we'll try to get you to a handshake meeting with a number of publishers that work with us. And there is, well, a fair probability, you know, that they would be interested in your product and you would go in process of negotiation to actual deal. So if you're in this situation, one of these, you know, like, just get in touch. Accent to VR. I mean, VR is a kind of like contradictory topic. There are people who believe that it will exist. There are people who think it's just a gimmick, you know. Like, my personal take on that is that if you can think about implication of technology to society, and that's definitely what VR will do in time, like, it's a big thing. Like, in Epic, we strongly believe into that, you know, like, and we support it as one of the major trends, such as augmented reality as well. And there's been a number of activities, you know, like so we support all of the major VR things, you know, like, and the devices, and we support such as all of the controllers, which are, you know, it goes with these devices. We also made recently a documentary. If you want to like deeply go into that, you can check it on YouTube and some of our news, you know, like about the VR and our take on how it will develop. There is also a couple of demos, you know, like demo Showdown Cinematic and a Bullet Train. And the latest news, we actually made VR editor for doing stuff for VR while in VR, which sounds kind of cool, you know, like, and it's actually cool because think about it from the point of view of interface. If you're building a level being in this environment, there is much of a higher probability that people who are in there would understand the level of immersion you're gonna put there. So, and it's just kind of cool to work with it. Just a bunch of things. So mobile example games, plugins, ambitions, you know, this kind of stuff. Like with mobile, we did a lot of new stuff between 4.9 and 4.10. Like Android span of devices which are supported at this point is much more wider, you know, like at this last introductions. There's also an example game, a match 3 game. You can download as a free project and check out how it's done and how all of the SDKs connected, how all the plugins work together, and how you can implement it to your mobile game. From the point of view of commercial success, there is a bunch of games that get released these days, especially like in Korea and Asian region. Just a couple of examples, like Blade of Elysium in Korea solely. You know, it's a basically adventure RPG, dungeon crawler type of the game. Made 80 million like in 8 months, I think, or 10 months. There is a lot of like mid-core games hitting market at this point from the standpoint and done in U4 that are getting highly successful. And if you are developing in mobile, I kind of like encourage you to pay attention to the last news that we have in this field. With plugins is like it's close to Blueprint's important paradigm of what we have in the engine, right? I mean, like something that we do not have can be developed by any third party. Sometimes we develop our own plugins to extend the system, and it's a really lean and fast-forward, continuous process. You know, like, and if you would go to GitHub and check for plugins, you would find a lot of really amazing stuff. Like, just to give like a simple example about 2D games, there was an official plugin called 2D Paper plugin, which gives you an opportunity to develop gorgeously looking 2D games like in U4, you know, like applying all of the power of the tool set that we have in there. With ambitions, I mean, we'll get on there on next slides, right? But it's like we provide really amazing graphics, we provide lean process, and I would say pretty much an easy entry point, you know, like, and that's basically a part of a conversation when I would like to accent the thing of that. For me personally, you know, like games not being just products, right? I mean, like games is a different type of a mediator, you know, as a developers you use as a language to talk to your audience, and having an idea for, let's say, doing some weird interactive experience, Unreal Engine is really the right choice, you know, to jump in, just make it and put it out there. And did it a couple of times myself. Another good thing is modding, you know, like really great example here is Ark Survival Evolved. The last year or two, 15 in the result, actually been kind of flourishing from the point of view of top 50 Steam successful games developed by indies, right? I mean, like including Ark, like Rocket League, you know, like a bunch of other games developed with an engine by a small team of indie developers, or like average type of size of indie developers. Ark is one of them. The really cool thing about it is that if you're about to expand your community and engage them into creating mods for your game, like we provide a tool set for it, like an example of what's happening with Ark. Community support, that's like one of the really big things. We're trying to be like more active and proactive at this point. There are 3 tiers of official support services that we have. Basically, it's forums. There is an answer hub, which is a place you can go, post a question, get an answer from the support staff like an Epic. There is also something called Unreal Development Network, which is a premium support you can get by discussing custom deal, you know, with our sales managers. That's basically a place where a lot of dedicated staff and some of the really super professional developers are hanging out to help each other, you know, developing their titles. We also really do a lot like these days, like with meetups, champs, hangouts, and other cool stuff. Like Mari is here, you know, just mentioned the local Unreal developers group. Like my colleague here, Jess Hyder, you know, like she's from Guildford. Jess, say hi. hello. Like you can ask her about like any activities, like planned in the region or around. And we're really trying to get people together to collaborate like on local levels, on the level of international collaboration to create really cool games. Now there's 3 slides with the conclusions about different formations because like actually if you think about it, like you can use an engine depending from where you're at as a development, as a studio in a bunch of different ways. So if you're like an indie developer, like I would encourage you to go for this roadmap that actually gives you like a lot of chances to mitigate your risks, which is start developing a prototype using some marketplace assets. Like you can replace it later if you want to. And you can be sure that all of the marketplace stuff that we have, it goes through community voting and through pretty much hands-on, like process of QA in Zapic. So you can be sure that this is a quality content. Like first prototype as much as you can, like accent on design, accent on the presentation of what you have, right? Have some supplementary documentation, start thinking about how to present it to community, publishers, like grants, crowdfunding, right? By using blueprints, you can actually delegate at this stage a lot of responsibilities from engineers to designers, right? And that's usually cost effective. And then after that, what you can do is to shout out at us, like at Epic, and try to appeal for Unreal development grants. Then you can try to go for a crowdfunding. Then you can try to go for publishers and shows. And for all of the sources, just build up the momentum, like on finances, to build the game that you want to build. When you're getting at the point where you opt to go for a green light, like tell us as well, we'll helping to get some traction on this field. Well, presuming that you're a company that like a lot of companies actually beginning from indies, they're getting into this kind of a limbo point where you have like, let's say 15, 20, 25 plus people, you're still not a big company, you start to think about business and that you're like employees and it's salaries all of the time, and you're getting into hybrid, developing your own game plus thinking about the contracts, right? Doing some stuff for other people, like for licenses and things like that. So UE4 here is giving you an edge in the competition for any like RFP process that IP holder may have, because like it's usually happens like this, right? They want to make game and some of the IP that they have, they want to digitalize content and create a game. You go to a show or you talk to these people and they choose like 3 or 4 companies and they want to see a prototype and a proposal, right? Because you can do a fast and greatly looking prototypes with UE4 and express your ideas for fast prototyping. It's a great chance for you to actually win this battle and then to start continue working with these people and proving yourself in this field. It's really, like from math point of view, because like you're generating so many assets and plugins and stuff that you're working on your previous stuff, and we have these example games which are basically genres you can take as a starting point, like in your development. You increasing, like both like your access to more fast development, to your internal assets, what you propose outside, and basically. Like one of the last things that all of the large and major license holders, they know the engine. Like we're also moving to a point where like indie developers would benefit from big publishers. We're engaging into collaboration, like on the basis of like long-term licenses. They would actually have a 360 license, right? And when you come to talk to them, using an engine would become your big advantage. And so let's say, like you kind of like over this point, and then you have this idea of big, really super ambitious games, right? Like something like PC, console, like AAA, something we've all been dreaming, playing the super cool games that made us go to this industry right at the point. So, it's actually quite a natural turf for us. A lot of like AAA games being done like with UE3 at the point, UE4 at this point. Like from the point of view of production, it's like there are unique capabilities of the engine to actually cut down your internal test on really expensive features. If you have something narrative-based and you really up to audio-visual pipeline, we provide a number of tools that actually it's much, much more effective. It's very simple scaling within the PC, console, and mobile. There are tricks how you can do that. The general like thumb rule is that first do like bigger stuff and then downscale, not do something simple and then upscale, from the point of view of content. And overall, like it's an engine that pretty much got used to these kind of ambitions. So summarizing this, right? I mean, like we just discussed basically 3 type informations of companies, but at the same time, if you will look at it from a different angle, it's also how company develops, on the market. Like it's basically a roadmap. So plenty of growth. Make a smart deal with all possible stipulations. I mean, like 5%, it's just 5% cross is basically what we just propose as a beginning, starting proposal. If you're a bigger company and you do not want to share like cross margins, I mean, you can also discuss with us some hybrid type of deals. You can discuss like buyout on the engine, like we're super flexible on discussing with you how you want to build the license to benefit the growth of your company. Like all of the options are discussable. When it comes to scaling your team, you do it easily because there is no fragmentation on the tool set. There is not a lot of corporate documentation, like you need to constantly create to describe all of the new stuff you show people. It's all the same tool set. It's easy to jump in. There is a wide variety of options of development, like different stuff. I mean, like it's smaller games, it's mobile games, it's like contract preserving integrity of the IP outside product type of games. It's big AAA games. Very lean and organic development. You cannot really overgrow the technology. If you've been in this business, that could be wild, like and really harsh at some point. That it's really hard to invest like 5-6 years, like in a company, and then get to a point and understand that you have this tech, which you built maybe, and you just got outrun by market. Like it's really hard to rebuild this whole process when this happens. Like with us, this is like pretty much impossible. And yes, expanding easily to all of the platforms. If you have an IP, you easily expand it to a franchise, like growing your audience from platform to platform. Now, I don't really seems to have a lot of time left, but yeah. But what I will do is, for the last year, what I usually would do for a presentation, I would spend some time, because like evangelism is a profession, it's like separates your life like into big parts, right? I mean, like you go to shows for airports and hotels and you do these presentations and talk to people trying to assist them, and then you go home and you do all this reporting and stuff and everything, and you also produce new content, right? So for the last year, each quarter, me and a couple of my associates, we've been producing these small prototypes, to show you and examples of what third party with a not as super skilled, skill-based can do, and what goals it can achieve. I will show this like 5 examples. If you would see something particularly interesting for you, you can approach me. We'll check it out on the laptop. You could ask me like any amount of questions, like you would like to ask, and I would try to answer it as good as possible. So, quarter 1 to 15, Battleships. That's a mobile tactical asynchronic game. We developed like a battle system like in 6 weeks. It's been a 6-people team. Really not that hard, but competitive. Like later this prototype being shown to a couple of publishers, got interested, like deal kind of like didn't move forward, but this team actually got another prototype and another order, another contract based on what they showed like in this thing. It's been developed like in the mind to run at 4 platforms. It's basically a PC, iOS, Android, and web and HTML5. And yeah, and it used some assets from prototype from the marketplace, like to speed up the process. Like the second showcase I have in my hands, it's a tactic RPG. It's more concentrated at the PC, iOS, and Android solely. It's more or less XCOM-ish type of the thing, more graphically rich, using more mechanics, really a little bit more harsh on optimization between the platforms, and yeah, that's basically like a project. If you have questions dealing with the platform restrictions for originally more like rich graphic fidelity game, it's a good point to ask about this example. BattleBots. The game has different name at this point. It's well, basically think World of Tank Blitz for mobile, big PvP game about big walking robots. That's an example. Two particularly interesting points about this showcase is it began at UE3, and then due to the circumstances, the contractor asked to move it to UE4, which team successfully did in less than 2 months. I mean, so you can definitely do that. If you've been developing something at the UDK or UE3, there is nothing that holds you from actually move to UE4 without a lot of damage. You know, like it's a process. You know, like we can actually walk you through. Is that would be necessary? And yes, this game actually became a bigger game, which getting a release, got a big publisher, company is growing. You know, like they're basically super happy with the UE4 at this point. Cursed Village, that's been the last quarter, the last year. I had this prototype shown in Prague. I'm from Ukraine originally, you know, and it's basically around Ukraine mythology, Kazakhs type of the game. So it's a third person, like basically from the game standpoint, pitch phrase wise. Think about I don't know, it's basically, damn it, I forgot the names of the game. Well, basically, you have the character and you have the waves, you know, like of this like devils and imps in a huge quantity running into you, and you have perks like just showing up, you know, like all of the time, and you're growing over the process, and there is, one of the interesting things about it is the crowds of enemies. It's the game that's supposed to be at this point a cooperative for 4 people, and it's basically a PC development. And the last one, which me and a couple of my friends just done before this show, I'm a big fan of Final Fantasy, you know, like especially the 7th ones, some of the RPGs. So basically like in a 2.5 week, a team of like a couple of designers, which was a little bit of leadership, you know, like using, extensively using marketplace content with overall cost less than $500, created like a full-scale prototype of the game, of the key mechanics of character, moving in the world with the world quest system and basic active time battle system from the JRPG, basically action decision type of thing. It looks good. I mean, like it looks compatible. It looks competitive, you know, like with other kind of titles, and it will be pitched probably, you know, like by these guys to small indie publishers soon who is interested particularly in this kind of games. So I have 5 of this. If you will have any questions or you have any similar in mind, you know, you start building, you can ask me. I'll try to help me as much as I can. And finishing these questions, I mean, before going there actually, you know, I would like to invite Jess, who would like to do a shout out about today's party, you know, like, and all right, then questions first. Questions. Do we have any? No? Oh, sure. Yeah. It's really, I mean, like, all right, so the question is about the criteria of the grants, right? Now, well, like, I would say that follow a couple of rules. I mean, like, if you have like a prototype which is innovative, you know, and it shows unorthodox use of the engine. I mean, like, you have pretty much strong chances, even if it's not, you know, it's not really far away in the production. Another of like good cases would be if you have a game pretty much in the game far in development, and you just specifically need some amount of money to finish it, and you know why do you need this money, you have big chances, you know, of getting this money as well. But I mean, like, you can apply multiple times, by the way. I mean, you can send it one time, and it doesn't mean that if it didn't work, you know, like, no, you cannot do it again. You can yeah, for the same game. You can do it a number of times. All right. Any more questions? Well, if not, then Jess. All right.
Cool. So I kind of just wanted to remind everyone and invite you to the Unreal Engine reception we're hosting tonight at 6:30. So you can sign up for your free ticket on Eventbrite. If you just type in Unreal Engine, it's the first thing that will come up based on your location. It's free. There will be lots of partying, so please come join us. All the details of the time and where it is are up on the website because I can't pronounce what it says because I'm Scottish. So yeah, head along there and we hope to see you tonight.
Right. Well, I guess that would be that. Well, thank you. Danke for coming. I guess this. All right. Change of setup.
Okay, we will continue with after 5-minute break. Hi, by the way. Hi.
Do you have HDMI?
HDMI, yes.
Oh, cool. It hopefully will
Do
be
you
work.
need sound as well? It should work.
No, I think not. We can play some music, but I think
Yeah, just wait until I give the microphone to the Oscar because we are streaming it without the microphone. Nobody sees and nobody hears anything. Okay. That is the question. And you will be heard, but the other way.
okay, okay.
So 5 minutes or so?
Yeah, 5 minutes. That's okay, but say, 2 years experience with Unreal Engine 4. I also work with some other engines, so sorry if I touched your favorite engine, but here I like to show why Unreal Engine 4 is good or maybe awesome, and what changed during the 2 years. So the big change was the setting the engine free. As Alexei mentioned, it's currently open source. You can grab the source on the GitHub. You can read the whole source code. There is everything what you need to compile your engine, modify the engine, and doing some crazy stuffs. Because every programmer like to learn new stuff, and I am a programmer, so I spend many nights reading the source code of the Unreal Engine 4, and it gives me a lot because the source code is modern. It's using the C++11 syntax, so it's modern, and you can learn so much stuff from it. So don't hesitate and grab the source code and read it. It's worth it. And if you are in the studio, this change, the pricing of the engine is really good for you because, as we know, the indies don't have so much money as our studio had before. And this is really great because you can use AAA engine for your games. I think it's quite awesome because we used Unity for past projects, and Unity is kind of different engine, and Unreal Engine was for us like, oh my God, this is huge, and we must use it. And it was so cool for us because it's free, it's open source, and you can do everything with it. So there is key question here. Is Unreal Engine 4 still cool? What do you think? I hope everybody thinks yes, because this is the Unreal Engine 4 track. So yes, it's still cool. And I hope I can show you the news which has been done in Engine for the 2 years. Okay, what changed over time? And a lot. This is the screenshot from the GitHub. You can see there is huge activity in contributing to source code of the engine, and I think this is the maybe best feature of the engine because you don't using old engine without updates. This engine uses a lot. There is a lot of updates. There is a huge contribution from community. There you can also contribute if you have great idea or you will found the bug. You can send a pull request, and your bug can be integrated into engine, and you can help other developers. So I think this is really cool. This is also great because if you are alone, if you are one programmer without graphic designer, or if you have a graphic designer but you creating big RPG game with everything, so the list of assets is really huge. And now you can use the Infinity Blade assets. I hope you know the Infinity Blade. It's iOS game, and I think the price of these assets when there was developed, it's around $3 million, and now you can have it free, completely free, and use it in your games. This is, I think, really cool for you. You can prototype with these assets. You can build whole game with it. So for me, it was good because I don't have to use the cubes and other shapes to prototype game. Now I can use, let's say, more specific assets to prototype my game. So I think this is really good for you. Okay, the Unreal Engine is heavily based on reference systems. If you maybe probably you maybe noticed it already because when you're using the material and deleting the material, you will see this dialog on the right, okay, on the right, and this dialog will show you where is your material reference or other type of assets, and you can replace with other asset or maybe set the default asset. So this is really cool because in previous versions of the engine, this dialog wasn't there, and it was kind of hard to find where my assets is referenced and where something broke and so on. This is really helpful. Also, if you are starting with Engine, there is full, let's say, tutorial in Engine, and you will see the flashing question marks in Windows, and you can use it for help and it will guide you through the process of the window where you're using. So if you are working in the animation window, it will show you how to use it and with some examples and so on. So this is really great. You don't have to switch to documentation, which is great also, but you can stay in your engine and do it as you see on the tutorial. So next change was the camera animations and new IK system, icon solver, sorry. The animation, if you are creating some videos or trailers or something like that, maybe you are using hopefully you are using the Matinee. If you're not, look at it, it's a great tool when you can script your scene and animate objects on the scene and create some videos from the engine with your desired frame per seconds. So use it, and currently it supports also the camera. It wasn't on the first version, in the first version of the engine, in the first public version of the engine, but right now you can animate using Matinee the camera as well. Also, if you are using IK, inverse kinematic, in your game, there is new solver for this, which is more powerful, more efficient, and you can do crazy stuff with IK because IK is really good. For example, I hope, do you know everybody what is an inverse kinematic? Yeah. Okay, nobody answering, but I assume yes. If not, raise your hand. I will gladly describe what is it. The next change was the skylight. When I, let's say, discuss with some guy who is using Unity, they'll say, okay, we have global illumination and you don't have it. I say, I have it, but for the skylight. And also there is beta version for the dynamic global illumination, which calls light propagation volumes, which is currently in beta, but you can use it. And if you are using or creating the game which will use the global illumination, this can be useful for you because the beta version of the source code is, or beta version of the light propagation volumes is really stable, so you can use it. But beware, is still in the beta. But from the skylight, from the let's say sun in your map, the global illumination is already there and you can use it. Also, there is distant field ambient occlusion, which is a really great feature for high-end games or high-end platforms. This will give you, let's say, depth to your scene and more realistic shadowing in the scene. But beware, it's for the high-end platform, so if you are targeting for mobiles, it's not a good choice. And if I remember correctly, it's only implemented in DirectX 11. Yeah. And here is short video. Oh, can we maybe turn off the light? No, we can't. Because this is supposed to show the shadowing and the depth of the scene, and if there is so dark, so it can't be seen. Okay, so if you are looking on the video, so you can see the usage of the ambient occlusion, because if you look, there is building which casting the shadow, and in classic shadowing process, you will see just one monolithic shadow, one black area. Okay, but if you are using ambient occlusion, you can see the differences in the darkest parts or the lightest parts in the shadow. So this is the ambient occlusion, in short, and you can use it if you are targeting for high-end platforms. But if you're not, maybe in the future will be implemented in, let's say, for slower platforms. Okay, next great feature. It's proper shadowing of the translucent materials from stationary lights. I think the lights. Okay. This is the scene before this feature. This is some kind of cave with fog, and it looks really good. But if you are using this new feature, it could look much better. Oh. On the screenshot, it's maybe not so. It can be seen so good, but it will give you realistic lighting or shadowing for translucent material. This is the huge feature. If you are, let's say, creating this kind of levels in caves, because in caves there is no white fog, right? The fog is also shadowed by other stuff around and lighted and so on. So this feature will give you more realistic fog or, in general, translucent materials. Okay, this is the next topic. When I, let's say, have flame with Unity developer, he said, hey, we have really great 2D tools. I said, okay, we have it also. And really, Unreal Engine 4, maybe it's a huge engine for huge games. You can also create small games in 2D, and there is implementing a whole pipeline for the creating 2D games. It's called Paper 2D. It's using different physics engine. For example, there is a Box 2D implementation for this, so you are not forced to use the physics by NVIDIA because it's kind of overkill for 2D games using the physics. But there is Box 2D. It's much cheaper for mobile devices and some lower specs platforms. So do not be afraid to create 2D games in Unreal Engine 4. It's possible, it's there, and you can create nearly everything what you can create in other engines which supports 2D. Unreal Motion Graphics, it's for the UI of your game. In the past, there was only access to this part of the engine from the source code, from the C++ source code. So you have to use a lot of C++ macros because it's heavily based on the macro system, which gives you, let's say, cleaner syntax, but it's not so good for graphic designers to program in macros, right? If you say, hey guy, can you create me the UI of the main menu? Okay, here is source code and write it. It's not good for graphic designers. So right now we have a graphic design tool for this, and you can design your UI using Unreal Motion Graphics right directly in engine, so you don't have to code this stuff, and you can attach the events, you can bind the values or the model classes into those UI elements. So there is full support for creating UI. Also, if you are working with artificial intelligence, you maybe found the behavior trees, and right now in Unreal Engine 4 is behavior tree editor. So you don't have to code, you just creating like in blueprints. So you just connecting the behavior and creating the behavior trees, which is also great. And in other engines, you have to buy some assets or plugin for this, but but in Unreal Engine 4 is directly integrated into engine, so you don't have to buy anything. Huge news for big games or I don't know, graphics intensive games. There is ray trace distance fields soft shadows. Maybe the name of this technology is kinda horrifying, but it's easy to use and it's great because it will give you the shadowing for really big scale maps and levels for you. You need to generate mesh distance fields for your meshes in your game. So if you like to use this ray trace distance field soft shadows, you have to tick the generate mesh distance fields in the rendering settings of your projects and restart the editor. But after that, again, the editor will create the mesh distance fields for every your stationary mesh, and this will give you more realistic view for your scene. You can also create, it's fully dynamic, by the way. It's not pre-baked, these shadows, it's fully dynamic. So if you are using some game where it's time of day or these stuffs, you can use it without problems. And also it plays nicely with cascade shadows. So if you know there is cascade shadows in Unreal Engine 4, and these cascade shadows are used for the near objects, and or it depends on your settings, but mostly for near projects objects. And after that, there is place for ray trace of shadows. So here is video of it. So this is the scene with ray trace of shadows in real time with time of day. So you can see you can create maps or levels in your game with time of day, which is really cool, and it looks really cool from my perspective. So try it, and also it's good to say it's for the let's say bigger platforms also, so maybe consoles, maybe high-end PCs, like the ambient occlusion. It's using, let's say, same underhood technology for this, so you can use it only on the high-end platforms. But I think the result is really worth it. So if you are creating next, let's say, Skyrim or some other these big games, use it because it looks really great. And I think I'm quite speeding, so I will slow down a little bit. Subsurface scattering. This is a really, really great effect if you are creating a game with a lot of, let's say, human beings or persons in your game, because it will give you the more realistic skin. Because as you know, the lightning or the light, it's bouncing, but in our skin, it's penetrating from it and bouncing inside our skin and bouncing out of our skin. So it's not classic light bouncing as we know from other materials, but our skin is kind of complicated, and this is technology, subsurface scattering, which gives you better looking models in your game. It's good to notice it's screen space, so if you have really big environment with a lot of lights, a lot of affecting stuff, it may be not working correctly for you. But if you a little bit change the level design or this, so you can create better results for your models in your game. And this is, I think, really hot in today, because everybody like to create HTML games because it's cool. Everybody like to have game in browsers, and I don't share this I don't excitement for this, but I know many people who like to create their HTML5 games, like to build the HTML5 games. So here is it. Unreal Engine 4 could be compiled for the HTML. It uses under the hood the technology called Emscripton. The Emscripton is based on LLVM compilers, so maybe if you know the process, it's easy, because Unreal Engine 4 you have full source code. It's in C++. So and if you compile it using CLang, which is front-end for the C language in LLVM, it will firstly compile into LLVM bytecode, and after the compilation to the bytecode, it will compile to native code. And Emscripton will step in the LLVM bytecode and take the LLVM bytecode and compile it for the into JavaScript. Also, if you have, for example, Firefox, which implements the Asm.js, it's a lot of better results. So, but I like to say it's maybe a little bit experimental feature. Don't expect you have full big really awesome game to build it for your browsers. It's not that easy, and you maybe need to, let's say, rewrite your code or minimize your assets or this stuff. So it's not magic bullet for your projects, but there is it, and if you like use it, you can use it. And the landscape. I hope everybody in here seen the kite demo. It's really awesome video. It's really hard project, and you need 32 gigabits of RAM to run it, but it's really great. And this will give you the Kai demo is based on this new feature in Unreal Engine 4 for the landscapes. So you can create really huge landscapes in your game and use it. So I think it's really great also for open world games, for every kind of game. It's using streaming. It can stream your pathfinding and other stuff. So it's efficient, but still it's really hard to process this stuff. So don't expect to use this or some kind of open world on mobile platforms. Maybe you can on the high-end iPads or this, but it is really great feature, but not cheap for power, for computing power. I really need to slow down. And here is great feature. I really like it. Hopefully the GIF is animating. Oh, cool. It's called. It is a full scene particle collision with mesh distance fields. You know, there is mesh distance fields. This stuff I already mentioned. This is really great feature, which using the ambient occlusion, which using ray trace of shadows, and here is it, the particle collision. So you can, I think, really nicely collide your particles with other meshes, and this is, let's say, the cheapest thing based on mesh distance fields. So maybe it could be used on other platforms than high-end PCs. And I think the result from this is really great, because everybody wants the snow which will fall on the tree and which will on the floor. Because if you will use the classic particles, it can fall through the tree, through the stuff. So it's not so realistic. You can help it with your source with your code, but it's not the best way. And here is full particle collision, which is, I think, much better. And also from the everybody wants HTML builds, but there is a lot of mobile developers. So you can use the reflection, you can use dynamic lights, and these stuffs on the mobile platforms, which is really great. You can achieve, I think, mind-blowing scenes with this, because the render in Unreal Engine 4 is really great. And for example, if you are targeted on the Android platform, on the, let's say, better Android platform, there is Android expansion pack, which, for example, NVIDIA Shield uses. It's set of OpenGL extension which, let's say, emulate the PC version of the OpenGL. So, and Unreal Engine have implemented this feature, and it can use the Android extension pack, and it will give you much better result from your mobile games, because the engine can use let's say, high-end features on your mobile devices, because it's not limited with OpenGL ES2, because if you know OpenGL ES2, it's kind of limited API. It's really limited APIs, or only mobile API. And Android extension pack will give you more power for your games, and Unreal Engine will use it. Also, on the second side of the barricade, there is iOS, and on the iOS you can use it, the Metal rendering backend. So Metal, as you may be seeing on the keynote Apple keynote, there is a huge difference in performance, and also the Unreal Engine 4 is fully benefiting from this. So if you are targeting on the iOS devices, on maybe a little bit newest, iOS devices, for the newest iOS devices, you can use the Metal rendering for this. And maybe kind of newest news, it's new physical-based shading for the hair, eyes, and clothes. Already you know the Unreal Engine 4 is fully physical-based, but yeah, it was missing some specific shaders for because hair, eyes, and clothes is behaving a little bit different, and you cannot use the classic PBS shaders for this, and there are better rendering for hairs, eyes, and clothes. So if you are creating game with human beings or something something like that, you can use this. It's, I think, in the latest preview, it's 4.10, I think. So you can use it, and it's really great because you can achieve the more realistic rendering of the people in your game. And this is a huge topic, and everybody wants it. Virtual reality. Everybody likes to Oculus, HTC Vive, and other stuffs. Maybe Google Cardboard and this, and it's a huge topic in today. So Unreal Engine fully supports these platforms. It has integrated Oculus SDKs, HTC Vive SDKs, and this stuff. You can test it, build it, and release it on these peripherals, on these platforms with the support of virtual reality. And maybe the hottest news in past weeks is this. As maybe you've seen the live streaming on the Twitch when Tim Sweeney was announcing the new editor inside the VR. So if you are creating games for VR, this is really game-changing for you because you can create your game directly in your game. I think it's really great. Maybe you need to build some skill to use it, but it's going to be here, and I think it's really cool because mostly when you are creating virtual reality game, you need to put your assets into level, scale them, modify them, build the game, install the game on your target platform, put your virtual reality glasses on you, and test it. The process is really, really long, and using this is much better and much easier to create the games for the virtual reality. So stay tuned. It's going to be here, and it's going to be awesome. And some stuff without images. So animation retargeting. This is, I think, really useful feature. Maybe you already know it, but it's there. For example, for Indie Studio, it's kind of not good to pay for a guy who animates the models for every single model, because every single model is kind of different, but mostly the skeleton of the model is humanoid. And animation retargeting helps you to retarget your single animations to other humanoid skeletons. So if you have a lot of models, a lot of moving persons in your game, you can just animate once and use it for the other models or other persons in your game. It's really great. You can tune your retargeting. So if you have some, let's say, model with fat hands or something like that, you can help the retargeting engine to say, okay, don't go so much into near to your body because the hand will penetrate through the body, so it's not so good. So you can modify the settings and fine-tune every retarget animation. So it's really great. And I think for maybe not only for Indie Studio, but I think for Indie Studio it's really great because you can pay for your animation only once. Foliage rendering it's really great for you because if you are creating huge open world games, you like to have trees and other grass and these stuffs, and Unreal Engine 4 supports foliage rendering because it's using, let's say, it's first-class citizen in engine. It's not separated object, your foliage, but it's using different paths to render these stuffs and much efficient paths to render these stuffs. So it's using instancing and other technology to render foliage on your scene. So don't be afraid to use a lot of trees or a lot of grass. Use it, and Unreal Engine 4 will take care of them. And if you are creating a game with a lot of animation, there is new rendering engine or compute engine for the animation, which will use the multi-thread computing of the animation. So in the past, if you're using the animations, you need to compute the animation. You need to create some steps between the animations and this stuff. And using single thread is not so good, but it's safest way. But in Unreal Engine 4, the Epic team will, not will, but it already created the multi-threaded computing engine for the animations. So if you are using animations, it will be much efficient to use them in your game. This is really great stuff, Blueprint Merge Tool, because blueprints are a visual tool, and if you are using, for example, Perforce or Git or SVN, your code could be merged, and you can see the differences between newest or your version easily. But for blueprints, it's not that easy because blueprints are binary files, and merging in your or using diff in your version control is not it's not working for this. But there is Blueprint Merge Tool, so you can see the differences right inside your engine, because Unreal Engine 4, as you hopefully know, there is first-class integration for Perforce, which is, I think, free for 10 people in team, which I think is great. And also there is Git integration, and you can use the Blueprint Merge Tool for this. And I like to say the version control integration is really great, by the way, because mostly when we was working in other engine, we have to switch from the engine to the into version control tool, and let's say commit our stuff, push it, and so on. And right now, in Unreal Engine 4, you can use it directly in your engine. And if you are using, for example, Perforce, where you can lock your files, you can see, for example, on the map level 1, there is Peter working on it. So don't touch it; it's locked, because if you touch it, there will be some problems. So this is really great. You don't have to leave your engine or the editor to create, not to create, but the commit stuffs or download the newest stuffs from the version control. As I said, there is a new rendering backend for the Metal and also for the DirectX 12. So in the latest preview for 0.10, the DirectX 12 integration is better. And also the Metal is not mean only for iOS, but if you are developing game for OS X, there is also Metal, and Unreal Engine 4 knows it and use it on the OS X if you take the rendering backend on your project. This is maybe kind of abstract stuff, but it will gives you really better performance on platform which supports, for example, the Metal or DirectX. Post-process blending. If you already worked with UE4, you know there is some post-process volumes, and now you can create two post-process volumes and blend them together. So you can have some areas where computes from two post-process volumes. It's good because it can create some blending parts for your game and give you much better feeling from your game. Web browser widget, it's kinda stuff some developers want, and it's there. You can use it. I think it's integrated. I'm not sure about the integration, so I think it's on the Windows, but I'm not sure on the other platforms right now. Circle depth of field technique. So circle depth of field technique it's kind of different from the classic depth of field technique. So if you know the difference, you can use the circle depth of field technique. Dynamic navigation mesh, which is really great if you are using or if you are creating the huge games. You like to compute, or not huge, but dynamic games or levels. You can compute the navigation on the fly, which is really great. For example, if you are creating some game when you can destroy whole building, and after that you destroy the whole building, the AI could pass through it, and it will help you create more realistic behavior for your AI in your game. So, and it's not so hard for your CPU, or it's kind of cheap, and So don't be afraid, use it. Screen space reflection for translucent surfaces. This is really great stuff because you can use the screen space reflection. It's not the full reflection, just screen space, so be aware of that. But you can use the screen space reflection for translucent objects. This will also give you more realistic view for your, or more realistic rendering for your scene. Procedural mesh, this is stuff when we was creating our game, we was creating this thing before it was official in Unreal Engine 4, because it's really great. You can construct meshes from your vertices on the fly. And if you are creating some dynamic game, or maybe if you are helping to your graphic designer to create more intuitive stuff when he's building the level or creating assets for it, there is it. So you can create procedurally the meshes. So you just need some vertices, and Unreal Engine will draw it from the blueprint also. So you don't have to use the C++. DLC support. If you are playing game, maybe you don't like DLCs, but it's here, and everybody not needs to use it, but it's kind of standard if you are extending your game. So there is full support for DLCs. You don't have to create some magic code which will merge the DLC downloaded from the Steam or the other store. There is full support from the engine itself for DLCs. And at last, really long name also, multi-thread asynchronous asset loading. So this is really useful when you are using streaming in your games, and the streaming is technique when player will cross some border, it will load the second level to your scene, but the level contains a lot of assets, a lot of meshes, a lot of stuff. And in the past, it was just on one thread, and this will help you on the multi-core architecture, speed up the loading process of your game. Maybe not the loading, but the streaming process of your game. I know it was a huge list of some weird names and weird titles, but this is my proof. My programmer's proof. The engine is really cool still. It's implementing newest features. It's listening to community. This is, I think, really great, because I'm remembering the time when we like to target the console systems, Xbox One and PS4, and we was deciding which engine we will use. So we write to the Unreal Engine 4, hey guys, can we use for Unreal Engine 4 for the Xbox One and PS4? They say, okay, you can, and there is some blah, blah, blah limitations. But the response was, I think, in 5 minutes. That was really awesome. When I sent the exactly same email to Unity support, it was 2 weeks. And it was, okay, this guy will help you, and this guy will help you, and okay, not cool. And when I tried to send my request to CryEngine team, I didn't get a response at all. So here, I think it's really great when a huge company like Epic Games listening to you and creating stuff for you. So, and don't be shy and say your request on the GitHub or on the forum and talk about your problems, because mostly some Epic certified guy will help you on the forum or on the Answers Hub and so on. So you will get precise answer for your questions. And I think this is, when I compare it to my experience with other engines, it's awesome. It cannot be compared because it's a chapter for itself. So okay, I have 6 minutes maybe. So short Q&A. Is there any question?
Awake, everybody.
Okay, I think everybody already slept, so.
Okay, so there's a question.
Hello.
Hi.
I got a question about the Grip Digital. Can you say, maybe I saw, I'm not sure that there is some grants and that you're supporting some other developers. Can you say something maybe about that? Or
I think we can talk about it after my talk.
Okay.
It could be better to talk about my company after this talk, okay? So
Thank you.
meet me after my talk and we can talk about it, okay?
Any other questions? No? Maybe I do have a question actually.
No.
No? One small question about
Okay.
dynamic navigation meshes. Do you know whether they are rebuilt? Or does the engine rebuild the whole navigation mesh
No.
when it has to, or does it only rebuild those parts that it needs to?
It's
that have changed?
incremental. So when you invalidate some area of your navigation meshes, it will incrementally recompute the area where you said it's not valid. So it's not a rebuild the whole navigation mesh for your level, but just the part in your level.
Okay, thanks. Good. If there are not any more questions, then we will continue after a short break at 4:15. Thanks. Thanks, Martin.
Thank you. I don't think so. My English was horrible.
Okay, everyone. Our next talk by Chiri will be on UE4 in mobile games. Thanks, Chiri.
Hello everyone, thanks for joining this nice conference. So my topic for today is developing mobile games in Unreal Engine 4, which is quite the hot topics these days. And I think with my experience I can share some of them with you in this short talk. So first of all, let me say some words about myself. My name is Jiří Dočkal. You can find me on Twitter. I'm in the field of professional programming since 2008, but I've always wanted to be a game developer, so my dream became true in 2013 when I joined Bohemia Interactive Studios in Brno. There I'm working on Arma 3 and new unannounced project. But today's topic is about Unreal. We don't use it Unreal in Bohemia Interactive Studios, so this presentation comes from me, from experience I gained working spare time on mobile game in Unreal Engine 4. The game I'm working on is called Armageddon. It's a mobile game, and you will get more info soon. So, why Unreal Engine? That's the first question. Then I will show you what the game looks like right now. Then I will go through some workflows I use while I'm developing the game, some optimization processes, because that's something that's totally different on desktop and on mobile, and share some final notes, some overall impression of working with Unreal Engine on mobile game. So yeah, we've already heard a good presentation about this topic. I'll try to take a look on this question more from the coder, from the programmer perspective. So for me, what's most important maybe is the set of features that are really directly integrated into the engine. So I don't need to buy any plugins, I don't need to code, rewrite the wheel, reinvent the wheel again. The modularity is very important for me. Unreal Engine does best in this field, I think, because its architecture is completely module-based. It's plugin-based on architecture, so you can choose what modules you want to use, what modules you want to load. You can also load modules during runtime, but I don't see any reason for that, but it's possible. The modularity is so big that, for example, the editor itself is Unreal Engine plugin. So I think that's big. Even the game, if you're coding the game, it's a plugin. That's cool. Next thing is that there is the same content pipeline for desktop and mobile games. You author the content once and maybe just downscale to the mobile, but if you are targeting high-end mobile devices, nowadays it's possible to have really the same content for desktop and for the mobile, which is great. Unreal Engine is a really big, huge thing, huge, complex software, but at the same time, it really stays consistent, and that is really big thank you to the Epic, because consistency is what programmers want and needs. If there are many APIs that you would like to use and want to use in your project, and if they are consistent, they provide with the same logical feeling, with thinking, the design of the thing is the same, then once you learn 1, 2, 3 features, the more features will be learned much easier because the consistency is there. Great productivity workflows, I think there's no doubt about that. Unreal engines still stays stable. It's a big complex software, as I said already, but Epic does the great thing about the stability. Complete toolchain. I think this is one of the most important things. You have the importers, you have the building pipelines, you have the command line tools, you have the direct integration about the version controlling system, VR, everything is directly integrated into Unreal, not like the other engines, you know what engine I mean, where you have to buy plugin for everything. Yeah, and as Martin Pernica said in previous talk, Epic also does really great stuff in supporting the developers. Really, if you ask something, you will get the answer very soon. We are glad to talk about your problems. We really listening to your needs, and we're trying to fulfill your needs. But the biggest advantage, at least from a programmer perspective, is having the source code. The source code enables you direct and more control over the engine. For example, if you're debugging, you see not just your code, what it is doing, where are the parameters, what are the values, but you see what the engine is doing with your calls. So, for example, this is useful on numerous places, from debugging, optimization, lots of stuff, because if you have source code, you know what is happening. That's it. If you don't have the source code, hey, am I doing something wrong? Maybe, okay, I will ask. Maybe I will try to do some workaround. In Unreal Engine, you can step into the source code of the engine directly and see what you are doing wrong, and it is a lot of times real lifesaver, real time saver. Yeah, with the source code, it's really tempting to modify the engine to suit more your needs, but I would not recommend doing this. I would more recommend building new plugins. Unreal Engine is really extensible. You can override almost every class, engine, editor, client view, port, and so on. So you can specify your custom class without actually changing code of the engine itself. Why I would not recommend is that once you made some changes directly into the engine without creating a pull request, then you have to maintain that thing. You have to merge the new features, which might broke your changes. For bigger teams, there's maybe just a question of the resources. Hey, I will allocate these guys to maintain our custom engine. But for the smaller team, I would like to develop the game, not maintain the engine. That's why we are using third-party engine. Yeah, because we don't want to develop our engine because it's really costly and hard stuff. Okay, yeah. The plugins is the way how to keep the modularity, and also if you try and really keep the modular design of your game, you can use those plugins and sell them on the marketplace and give the money back to the development of your game, which is really great. I do it myself. Another possibility and another huge possibility, and you should use it, is to extend the editor. Yeah, just create the plugin. There are lots of classes that has nice, clean interfaces that you can implement to achieve whatever you want directly inside the editor. This is really important. Write the tools, make the tools to really achieve your workflow, to really speed up your workflow, to enhance your productivity. Yeah, now's the time for the game. Yeah, this is a game which is not announced yet, but noticed it there because it's source of my experience with Unreal Engine. So what is it? It's shoot 'em up, top-down scroller, arcade, classic. It's almost 1 year in development, but let's say it again, it's work in spare time because I have full-time job and kids and family. So it's really good what one person could achieve in Unreal Engine, even in spare time working. UI design was, I'm not really alone. UI design was made by my friend Petra Ivášková, sound design by Grigoril Tolkachev. Everything else you see was made by me. Currently we are in pre-alpha prototype stage, let's say, with lots of playholder graphic and lots of bugs. Public announcement will hopefully come soon. So. What the? I'm sorry for that. Yeah, this is how the game looks like right now. It's just short 1 minute video. It's not playing good. Don't know why. But this talk is not about my game, it's about Unreal. I just want you to show what my experience comes from. You don't see those nice distractions. Oh, that's a pity. Okay, so maybe you just get some feeling how the game looks like, what it does. If you want, I have also built here, so you can play it on mobile, if it's interesting for you. Okay. Another player. So enjoy. The best thing is that it looks almost the same as here. This is recorded from the editor. It almost looks as good on the mobile, which is really great. And it works. Blow them up. Oh yeah, that's it. So okay, you might think from the video that the enemies which are moving from on predefined paths that this is achieved by animation. It's not true. I'm not animator, I'm not programmer, so I don't know anything about 3D Max, Blender, and so on. So I said to myself, it would be good if I can set those paths directly in the editor. And that's what the Pathfollow plugin does. You just create path using spline, and then you will set the enemy to follow the path. You can use even points, speed points, and so on and so on. What is good is that is really in-editor solution for animating movement of objects on generic paths, say, and I will use it for all the enemies. It's not perfect, but could be really good as a prototyping thing, which can be then exported to 3D Max, and animator could tune it up and this is really speeding up my workflow. I think it's a good example how extending the editor helps with your project. What I really like is that is simulation mode in Unreal Engine 4, because this allows me to modify the path while the enemy is actually moving on it. So this is really cool. Yeah, and I'm still waiting for my Good Place approval because it's code plugin, but I'm already giving early access and have some number of customers satisfied. Okay, next big thing what the game does is distractions. Distractions are using directly NVIDIA Apex module, which is kind of new thing, at least for Unreal developers, because Apex on mobile is forbidden, not allowed. It just, if you build game which is using Apex for mobile, it will not work. The model will just stay in the scene and no distraction will happen. So what I did is that I modified building process of the Unreal Engine, built the NVIDIA Apex for Android, and see how it works. And actually, it is working pretty good, as you can see in the video. It's I don't know any game which does this, so it was really a new field to explore, to conquer, and it was really a lot of time spent on it. Yeah, the workflows, blueprints. Yeah. How am I using blueprints while developing the game? We all know what blueprints does, what it is, and it is really good thing. But there are some considerations which has to be taken into account when working on mobile, especially the performance. On desktop, you can create complete game with the blueprints, and you are still have enough power to, I don't know, cook your dinner. But on mobile, it's not the case. You have to really look for any place where you can get any bit of performance for your next gameplay mechanics. But my workflow is customized to reflect this fact. So I'm using blueprints as a rapid prototyping tool. Even I'm a programmer, I'm not starting with implementing my ideas directly in the code, but I firstly create lots of prototypes, experimenting with the mechanics to see, to learn what the mechanics has, what flaws are there, what should be checked, what can be done with that. And after I'm satisfied with the mechanics, with the implementation blueprints, I will transfer it into C++ to gain the performance of native code. This is how am I working on it. Still using blueprints for things like one-time events, for example, handling hits of the projectiles, handling the distractions. That's just 2-3 nodes in blueprints. There's no need to write it directly into the code. Because if you leave it in the blueprint, everyone can play with it, everyone can change it, even designers, artists can make something interesting if you give them the chance. Last thing, regarding the implementation in C++, it is really useful to have the prototype working in blueprints, because when I'm then implementing the same thing in C++, I know exactly how it should behave, what are the flaws, and the implementation is much, much quicker. Once you really know the whole problem, it's much quicker to implement it in C++. I know that there's a thing called Blueprint to C++, which is on a roadmap for, I think, 4.12 Unreal, which should maybe be good for mobile developers, because they could transfer blueprints directly into the C++ easily. Okay, then even if I'm satisfied with the current state of the implementation in C++, I will still provide blueprint callbacks. This is great. This is great thing because you can push your designers, push your artists, and say, hey, okay, it's working this way, but you can alter this behavior, you can turn off this. And I'm still having full control over the mechanics because it's my code. That's great, and I think no other engine does the good job as Unreal Engine. Debugging, yeah. On desktop, it's pretty easy. You will open up the Visual Studio, connect it to the Unreal Engine, and you can debug, no problem. On mobile, it's almost the same, but you have to build it, you have to deploy it, you have to run it. If you make some changes, you have to do it again. And this is really not quick. So what I do is that my build machine, my integration machine, is not building only the mobile releases or mobile packed buildings, but I'm also been building desktop for desktop platform, because if there's a bug, which really sometimes happens, that it is present only in release build, not in non-editor build, then you can be almost sure that you can replicate it in desktop build. And this is real time saver, because in desktop build, as I said, you will just plug in the Visual Studio, step into the code, and see what's happening, what's the problem. So yeah, this is the optimization in debugging process I use, and I'm quite happy with it. Regarding direct debugging on device, it's possible. It's possible for iOS from Xcode, and sometimes if it's really bug only on device, I'm using NVIDIA Ensign for the Android. It's a plugin for Visual Studio which allows you almost the same thing as for desktop. And as I said already, the source code here helps really a lot, because you see what's happening directly in the engine. It's not black box anymore. Yeah. Next, I think this slide could be used on any presentation about developing of any software, but I think it's really important. It helps me a lot, and I would recommend to do this to everyone. But really automate everything. Use version control, use build machines, and Unreal Engine has great support for unit tests, integration tests, so be sure to write them. Even if you're a sole programmer on sole project, be sure to have a building machine which is regularly building your commits, because it really saves time, and you can discover bugs, problems as soon as possible. Yeah. The building pipeline is not just only about the building itself, but you want to distribute the builds to the other team members. You want to inform other team members that the new build was made, and this all can be and should be automated. My setup for this, even with 3 members in team, is that I use SVN, TeamCity for builds as an integration server, cloud service to store and distribute all the builds, because everyone can access any cloud. And I'm using Slack for notifications about the new build. So my workflow here is that I implement some feature, commit it to SVN, and that's it. Everything else, building, copying to the cloud, and notifying other team members that way can try new version with some new thing, is done automatically. And it's how it should be. Yeah, best practices here. commit everything. Don't leave the code for 14 days on your hard disk. It's not secure for the first. But if you developing extremely, if you're new to Unreal Engine, you don't have almost any experience with it. There are plenty of ways how you can implement one thing. So be sure to constantly commit, constantly check your builds to find any flaws that could be really hard to tackle once you get far with the feature. Yeah, what helped me a lot is to set lowest level which I want to support. This is basically because of the performance. Unreal does really great job about the scaling down of the content, but you cannot scale down forever. So depending on the project, definitely. You will have to say that this is my low-end device, and this is really good because you know then if it's working here, it will be working on any other device. I can only make it better, not worse. Yeah. Use layers and level streaming if possible. Yeah, if you are creating big world, the level streaming will really help you in collaboration process because each streamed level is one asset which can be modified. So there's no one big map, but lots of sectors, say, in the world which can be modified by a lot of people at the same time. And what worked for me is to create test scenes for every feature. If you're developing a feature and constantly adding new feature to your levels, you might get into troubles because you think everything is correct, everything is behaved perfectly, but it's still not working. The test scenes serves purpose that you see that locally the gameplay mechanic you are developing is working. So if you plug it then into your production level and it's not working, it's something with the environment, not with the feature itself. Yeah, big topic for the mobiles is optimization. First of all, you should optimize the CPU because gameplay features really you can say that player can shoot because it's performance demanding. Yeah, the player has to shoot because it's not the game without it. So be sure to optimize the CPU first and be sure to do that in early stages. If you have something that could be played, even that you have 2-3 core mechanics, then start with optimization if you are targeting mobile devices. I would encourage to do that even more if you are new to the Unreal Engine because really Unreal Engine is a big thing and you can screw a lot of things, honestly. Yep. One thing I've learned from the Armageddon project is that spawning actors consumes some performance power. Because, for example, the projectile I'm firing on the enemies, it's component with static mesh, component with particle system, component with physical collision system, and I don't know, a movement component which is driving the trajectory of the projectile. And this all needs to be allocated, created, initialized. And if you're doing this constantly, you will see in the profiler that it is hitting the performance. So to overcome this, I've implemented pooling, simple pooling policy as a plugin, of course, and that helps me a lot. It's not necessary to use pooling on everything. For example, not using the pooling for distractions for the explosions. I'm just spawning the actor which spawns the particle system, plays the sounds, and so on, and destroys itself afterwards. But if you are really spawning constantly something like the projectiles, that's a big win. Yeah, really, I saved about 2-3 milliseconds on this device using the pooling just for the player projectiles. So consider this, depends on the project, of course, but really good. It's the mobile is still not so performant to be compared to the desktop. I think we all know that. Okay, another thing I've learned is that if actor is ticking but it's not doing anything, it's really consuming some resources, because what Unreal Engine does is that it creates a task for every actor which is ticking. So if you are just implementing your tick function as if active return and does not do anything, then really not tick it. It's really helps the performance on mobile. On desktop, I didn't notice any performance gain from turning off the actor ticking. On mobile, I saved another 1 or 2 milliseconds, so it's worth it. Yeah, blueprints, we talked about it a little bit. Definitely, I would not recommend to have actor ticking functionality implemented in Blueprint. Definitely not for release, for production release, because it's not so performant as C++. That's it. The C++ is definitely depending on what the blueprints are doing, what is the logic, but yeah, it's almost 10 times quicker, we can say generally. Yeah, as this is a general recommendation, computation could be spread over multiple steps. You can also use task manager, which is a multi-threaded implementation directly in the Unreal Engine. So you can spawn little tasks and have the computation running in background in async, and then just get the result and use it. And yeah, last resort, reduce game complexity. If nothing helps, then what's left? Yeah. So yeah, how to optimize that CPU? For me, yeah, definitely you need a repeatable test, because then it's useless. Your results from the measuring are useless. I often use performance counters in C++ code, so that I can see exactly how the part of the code is taking on the mobile. But before you start the profiling, you should turn off your logs. That was one day I spent. How is it possible? There's nothing so expensive. How is it possible that it's taking 5 milliseconds? And then I realized that I have very verbose logs on. So yeah, turn off your logs. Setting mobile content scale means that Unreal Engine will lower down the resolution. So this is just to make sure that you are not GPU bound, and that the fill rate is not what is holding you back. Then okay, start your game. You can start game to see what's happening. But what I'm using is console command start file, stop file, which gives me profile data, which I can then use in Unreal Engine front end, which is profiler interface. Then it's not definitely necessary, once you identify the hot path, what's taking the longest time, it's not definitely need needed to make changes, build the game again, deploy it, and make the profile, gather the profile data again. What I'm doing is that I'm profiling directly on desktop. Trying to change things, looking what the code does, and if there's some improvement seen, then I will make the build to prove it. So yeah, this is just the shortcut. You can you can also use vendors profilers. Each vendor, like Qualcomm, Apple, and Samsung, has their own profilers, which some of them are good, some of them are worse, but I have to say that I've never used them, because Unreal Frontend is a really good thing, and I don't see any reason for using something outside the Unreal Engine. Yeah, really important thing, test your performance when the device is hot. Last time I was tuning up the performance, I saw that after 3-5 minutes of gameplay, the frame rate drops to half. That's just because the device was hot and it decides to lower down the frequency. So be sure to really test on device which is hot, and this is the lowest thing. Yeah. The difference could be really big. GPU is a little bit. You can turn off and on some features, and nobody will notice on some features. On CPU, it is not possible. So GPU is, let's say, easier to optimize, but be aware of transparency. The water in the Armageddon project is taking me 10 FPS. If I totally remove the water, I will gain 10 FPS. So transparency is definitely expensive, but I want it. So dynamic shadows are expensive, yes. If you have the full HDR pipeline with one directional light which is casting the dynamic shadows, this can be really performance win if you can turn it off. For me, this is not the choice, because I just want them. There need to be shadows. So that's why I set this device as lowest, because on this device it's performing pretty great. Yeah, minimize overdraw. If you have one translucent surface like the water, and then you spawn a big particle system over it, every pixel will be drawn a lot of times, and this is really not good. From 40 FPS while firing the particle system to 10 FPS, no problem. So really take care to offer your particle system to be not so big and to stay on the screen for not so long. Yeah, do not manipulate texture coordinates in materials directly. This is actually written in Unreal Engine manual, but yeah, you know, you have to try to see if it's true. And I've tried, and it's true. I've manipulated coordinates on my water shader, and that gives me for 3 milliseconds penalty, so be aware of that. Yeah, the fix is really easy, just need to specify custom UVs. There's a great article in Unreal Engine documentation about that. Yeah, check your materials for computational redundancy. There should be no node in material editor which is doing the same and it's not reused. gave me another 1-2 milliseconds. Yeah, tune shadows effects in base scalability.ini you can set the levels of quality for the shadows, for the effects, and so on. So yeah, play with the numbers, see what works for you, what is the good balance between performance and visual appearance. Yeah, and what was a little bit surprise for me, I've tried mobile dynamic lights. I'm using them for the explosions and to visualize the hits on the enemies, and these are performing really great. So yeah, you can definitely use it on, say, higher end devices, and just avoid to have big number of them simultaneously, and try to ensure that the light does not stay too long in the scene. Oh, almost finished. Yeah, overall impression is really good. I still have the feeling that when someone says Unreal Engine, that everyone is thinking, yeah, Unreal Engine, this is the great thing that is used, let me think, yeah, on desktop and consoles. And if you would like to develop for the mobiles, you should choose the other U engine. I think this is really not true because Unreal Engine provides really good workflow, the same content pipeline for desktop as for mobiles, which is really, really great. And from my experience, it's, yeah, you have to learn a lot of things, but it is possible. It is definitely possible to create great looking games on Unreal Engine 4. Great looking mobile games. Yeah, as I said already, I can also only say it once again. Source code is something like a programmer dream, I would say, because it's also a great source for your learning. Yeah? You can see how these things are implemented. If you using, for example, some API, you can try to find the usages directly inside the engine to see what's the proper way how to using these APIs. That's inavailable. Yeah. And blueprints, as we all know, this is really powerful tool. It's not just marketing word, it really works, and I'm really using it a lot. Even though I'm experienced programmer, which has I don't know 5-6 years with C++, I'm using the blueprints whenever it's possible. Thank you.
Thanks, Thierry. Do we have any questions?
Thank you. It was really good and detailed. I wanted just to hear what's the approximately average FPS and frames per second in the game?
So the question is, what's the average FPS in my game? So on this device, which is Snapdragon 800, so it's not definitely high-end device. It's higher-end device, I would say. It's not low-end, definitely. With the shipping build, the FPS stays above 50 frames per second, so really good, because what I want is great input response for the player, because this is really important in shooting or action games generally. So the performance after the optimizations, of course, because first when I firstly put the build to the device, I got about 12 or 15, but almost all the performance problems were because I was doing things wrong. So once I fixed those things, everything started to work, and I can say I have really steady FPS above 40 FPS.
Any other questions? No? Okay, then thanks, Jerry.
Thank you.
Just to check something, I can already start because I have approximately 10 minutes. Hello, my name is Marko Kačanski. I'm coming from Serbia. I'm apparently a director, movie director. So I'm translating to the game development. I wanted both, so the movies and the game, and that's what also Unreal Engine doing great. So I have here I'm here to present the project Rest House, which is the sequel of the same name movie that I'm developing last few years, the movie, and the game is about a year. So I started and to learn game design, game development, and I'm a person who just got into it and started from nothing. And I had a previous experience with 3D. I did some visual effects in some studios for some Hollywood B productions. So about 3D I knew, but nothing about game design. I'm not so hard gamer, but when I played, I was blown up by Bioshock thing and whole story. So I was looking where did they made it. So there was they made it in Unreal, the previous versions. And I was playing a little bit with other engines. So and then they just Unreal got Unreal 4 came out and free version, so that was it for me, and I started to learning and to using. I can play the trailer, and this is what I got for about a year. So from nothing, I'm a one-man band show. So this is just a prototype, but playable. It's free. I can leave you some of the project if you are interested, or you can see at my site. It's like my name, mykačanski.com. And this is all done, almost all done in Unreal. You see like images or some videos from real life, you will recognize it. But all the other like things we cannot see. It's I needed to blow up the image because projector is a little bit darker for this video. But this is like prototypes. This level there are now 5 levels that you can test and play for free. Also, it's first-person puzzle, but I'm developing also the other kind of game experience in it. There are multiplayer option, like with some shootings. I want to avoid that shootings, but it will stay in some case. But you can, if you open the ports, you can easily, all through the blueprints, which is not the hard programming, it's visual scripting. Everybody really can do it, and you should try, because it's really, I like to say that it's like Lego bricks, and I think that it should, they should put it in the schools for children, because it's really interesting, and we like to play. So take a look and play with Unreal, because it's easy and it's in real time. What is important for me, because I'm a movie maker, you can get the visuals in real time, render it, and exporting in really a small amount of time, in short time. So these are like the second level. You can all test it. And what is interesting, I was 4 levels can be played in the browser. So the previous presenters talk about HTML5. So this level you can, this is from the movie. And if you finish the level, each level you're unlocking the movie, and you can be redirected and see the movie as itself, the short one. And at the end of the game, it's the feature that I talk and did, the same name feature called Rest House, which is traveling around the world at the festivals. So this is like HTML5 in the browser game. You can see it and test it. I think this render was for Windows, but it's optimized for HTML5. It's almost like this. There is some post-production, so you see at the screen, but you can feel the atmosphere. I put the sounds and in-game, and you can do it all by yourself if you want. And if you're a team, you will make it faster and even better. So there are a bunch of free assets already. In a year, many people uploaded, also Unreal uploaded, put it for free, the assets. You can use it and play it with it, make your interactive stories and games. So you can, you need to unlock the levels, you need to come to the end of each of the levels. You choose the story, and you can test it, as I said, at the site. You can see all more information about that. And what is interesting, that I'm streaming every night at 4 platforms like Twitch, and I'm talking that because of community. There is huge community, and also the streamers, the developers who are streaming and developing their games in a lot of engines, but also in the Unreal. And Epic support and streaming also every week, so you can stop by, say hi, or chat with the community. So it's good for me when I'm streaming, because I can directly redirect or send a link to the viewers, and they can test the game in the browser or download it for Windows and test it and say this is working, this is not so good. And what was interesting when Jiri talked about, it's optimization. It's all shy, nice, but it should be more and more optimized, especially if you're in the browser. It sounds nice. You can play it without downloading the browser. It's platform independent, but it's still, I must say, in the early days of like internet and games to be played in the browser. So yesterday they announced there is a Vulkan coming out. So I think that's one of the futures, like VR. So we will looking at that. This is the level called Inland Kingdom. So I'm trying to put all the story in it, to connect the story from the movie and to make the other interesting stuff in it. So you're unlocking the story and trying to find what happened with the rest house. And also, I don't want to talk too much about that. There is in the project. I don't want to spoil you the story and the gameplay experience. And their opinions are really what's pushing me to go further, because there are more than 10,000 players, viewers tested in the web version. And it was really nice opinions, but I can just say that I need much more work to optimize, and I need team and support, so I'm here to talk to you about the rest house, which is coming soon. We don't know when, but it's nice and interesting to play with. So thank you for being here, and all can I say, come to the party after, and if there is some questions, I'm here, so I don't know if there is a time. I think that's it, not sure.
Sure, there's time for questions. Are there any questions? Yes, there is one.
It's at my site, markokaczanski.com, and there are all the links, all the informations. I'm like Kacanak, at Twitch and YouTube Gaming and other two platforms at the same time. So it's best to go to my site, and there are the links. So thank you for that question.
Any more questions? Okay, then thanks, Marco.
Thanks.
And our next speaker will be René on the UE4 marketplace.
To talk about how to submit something to the marketplace, how the whole process works, and give some insights and maybe some ideas on what to sell. So we will start with a general overview of the marketplace, how to get some ideas on what to submit, on the whole submission process itself, what to do with the pricing, and what to do after going live with the asset. The other speakers already talked a bit about the Unreal Engine marketplace. It's generally used in many projects. Many indie developers use marketplace content for prototyping for the actual games. Also, bigger AAA projects like Ark Survival Evolved use marketplace assets in their project. So, to get some idea on what to submit to the marketplace, maybe you're an artist, you have some meshes, textures, materials that you may want to submit. Maybe you already have an asset, but you don't know it yet, because you're building a game yourself. maybe you have some props, some environment stuff, maybe game logic, AI code that you may want to share that users could use. Another good source of what to submit to the marketplace are the marketplace forums. The users in there have quite many ideas of what they want to see on the marketplace and what they would buy. So to the overview, what can actually be submitted? Of course, skeletal and static meshes for props, for environments, talking about characters, about trees, about barrels, or other props that can be placed inside the level. Animations are always good to have. There are really not enough animations yet on the marketplace. Also, with the retargeting system in the Unreal Engine, you can use the animations that are working with the standard Unreal Engine skeleton for most of the other human meshes that you have. You can also use some of the animations with completely different skeletons or skeletal meshes that you bought, for example, on 3DRT or other sites. Yeah, never enough animations. Materials textures. Even though the material editor of Unreal Engine 4 is really cool and much easier than coding shaders yourself, many people have problems with the maths and the logic inside. So if you have any cool materials, submit them. Particle systems, special effects. People always need special effects, be it spell effects for RPGs, be it explosion effects, fire, rain, everything. People want that and will buy that. Blueprints, it's a quite big topic. You can submit whole game templates. You can do rather small blueprints that do specific stuff, like say AI code and something like that. Yeah, engine plugins. That's quite an interesting topic. The Unreal Engine Marketplace does not accept any C++ code as of now. The only way to submit C++ code and further logic that is only exposed via the C++ API through engine plugins. The engine plugins for Marketplace are not yet live, and I'm not allowed to share the go live date yet with you. But we will get an insight on the special procedure for engine plugins later on. What cannot be submitted to the marketplace? C++-based assets, as said, other than plugins, and also plugins that modify or directly overwrite engine code itself. There's not that much of a limitation because usually you don't want to modify the engine, but it can be a bit of a limitation if you want to overwrite parts of the rendering pipeline and something like that. I had a short talk with the marketplace team at Epic, and I just asked them what are the best-selling categories as of now. Best-selling with quite a big number of sales are environments. So you have terrains, you have trees, rocks, and so on. This is what's by far the best-selling stuff on the marketplace. Followed by blueprints. Many artists are actually trying to make their games with the Unreal Engine, and even for blueprints are a quite easy way to get some logic into your game, especially much easier than C++. People still have problems using blueprints when they have simply no programming experience. So what you can do is do, as said, some simple stuff, some more complex stuff, even behavior trees completely, UI, menu systems, everything you could imagine and that you could use in your own game. FX, this mostly applies to particle systems. There are a few special effect packages already on the marketplace, but There are not that many yet. People want special effects, people want explosion effects, and it's also much requested on the forums. Props, everyone needs these. Stuff that you just can place in the level, be it rocks being garbage or something entirely else. There are quite many props already on the Unreal Engine marketplace, but you can never have enough of them there. Textures. This now applies more also for coders like me. I have simply not a bit of artistic skill myself, and I'm relying mostly on the marketplace for textures and props and so on. So you can submit textures in there and maybe already combine them within a material. And yeah, these are the 5 most selling categories right now in the marketplace. I already had to talk with them on what Epic themselves would like to see more on the marketplace, and also what the people request. And number 1 is weapons. Be it medieval weapons like swords and clubs and so on, being modern weapons like shooting weapons and so on, or maybe future weapons, people request them. Even though Unreal Engine is a quite universal engine for everything, much of it is used still for shooter games and shooter-like games, so people need weapons for that. Architectural visualization. Epic does much marketing in that direction because with all the lighting stuff that is included in the Unreal Engine, you can do a pretty cool visualization of the architecture, but we simply don't have enough assets for it. And no architect will create meshes and so on by themselves, but they will buy the marketplace assets and hopefully be happy with it. Props, as said, you never have enough props. Also, as said, FX particle systems, people always want them. And one of the biggest points are characters. People want more characters, hero characters, NPC characters. There are a few of them on the marketplace, even though it's quite a problem because if you see a character in one game and the same character in another game, okay, it's not the best way to have a game presented then, but on the other hand, you can still modify the characters yourselves. What people are requesting mostly right now is some kind of character editor inside the engine. Everyone knows MMO games where you can customize your character. Sometimes you can choose one of 8 different heads. Sometimes you can customize simply everything of the character. People want that. People will pay a very high price for that. So if you are able to do that, or if you have something like that, try to sell it. So maybe you have got an idea on what to sell, what to think about before submitting to the marketplace. For blueprints, you need to have proper documentation. Sometimes people will use it that have programming skills, that could do it, but use your own asset as a time saver. Sometimes you have people that have no idea about development whatsoever. So do documentation for it, make sure that people understand what their asset is doing. Many people are using it also as a learning resource then to see how stuff is done inside the engine. For promotion purposes, make a video. Everyone or all the customers request a video of your asset in action before they buy it. Even better would be a demo level that you can host somewhere, be it Amazon or somewhere else. The other talkers already referenced the HTML5 export. It's still a bit experimental, but it works for presenting a demo level of your content. That's quite important because it more or less eliminates the need to give out parts of your asset as a free version. Talking about that, Epic currently does not support free assets on the marketplace. All the assets you see on the marketplace that are free are by Epic themselves, but not from the users, with 2 or 3 exceptions that are Epic partners. So make sure to have a demo level. People request that, they want to try that out. For props and generally static meshes, proper amount of content. If you submit a package that contains 1 barrel, that's simply not enough for the marketplace. Even if you want to sell it for $1, it's not enough. Set up collision properly. I've seen assets already that slipped through the QA process at Epic. This was more in the beginning of the marketplace, that just had standard collision on their assets, and it was quite horrible to work with it because you could not get near, could not walk through doors because the collision was covering the whole mesh. So set it up to custom collision, to UCX collision helpers if you need it. Light maps. Unreal Engine is a bit special in that it needs light maps for correct lighting and shadowing. Right now there is an automatic generation of light maps for meshes that you import. It's quite good for real production quality, and that is what we want to have in marketplace assets. Do it manually. Do proper light maps, read the documentation for it. If it does not look excellent, people will complain and not buy it. Real PBR. We already heard that Unreal Engine 4 is completely physics-based or physics-based rendering. Just plugging in a diffuse and normal map is no physics-based rendering. Also, plugging a constant value of 0.7 to a roughness map is not physically based rendering. Read the documentation to real PBR-ready stuff. For plugins, as said, plugins are still a bit special because they are not yet available on the marketplace. Epic is working with some content providers already to get the plugins online. The current process, which is subject to change, is have a plugin, upload it on GitHub in a private repository, share it with Epic themselves so they can download it, compile it themselves, test it, have a code review. Also, check the licenses of libraries that you may use. Something like a MIT library is completely okay, just use it. Be cautious when you use a library that is under the GPL, because this would force you to make your whole plugin open source, so be really cautious about that. Also, there are more often problems with plugins that do not work correctly in a packaged game, so test your plugin beforehand for that stuff. Generally, think of a price first. We will get to pricing a bit later on again, but simply with pricing and thinking about it, you can waste weeks or months and you will never find the right price initially. Post forum threads, gauging interest threads or work in progress threads. Get some attention for your asset beforehand so people know that you will be publishing it and that they will actually buy it. And of course, there are some additional rules and submission guidelines by Epic themselves. Just have a look at their homepage at the submission guidelines on how to structure your submission. Once you're ready, or let's say once you're mostly finished with your asset, go to the homepage, go to submit to marketplace, and you will be presented with this nice form. One common pitfall is you won't submit your asset here. You will submit a description, the supported platforms, some screenshots, and that's it. You won't submit your actual asset. One thing to understand is that the Unreal Engine marketplace is curated. So Not every asset makes it onto the marketplace. Epic does a review of general description and screenshots of your asset and then decides, okay, is it cool, do we want it? And also check code and other quality of your asset. You actually have two reviews of your asset then. The first is a set for the description and everything else, and the time frame it takes for Epic to respond to your first submission can be anywhere from 2 days to 1 month. Yeah, that's quite a span on the timeline. The marketplace team is constantly finding ways to speed the process up on their side themselves, but as it's a manual process to review all the assets, and they get over 100 submissions per week, it can take a while. The second review is the review of the actual asset. After they have reviewed your description, you will get a notification at some point to actually provide a download link to your real asset. Epic will download it and have a look at it, do some quality checks, will check generally stuff like light maps and if the content is proper set up. Again, the timeline here between your submission of the actual asset and, let's say, the actual go live of your asset to the marketplace can vary between 1 week and, in the worst case, 2 months. Usually, they manage to do it in around 1 month, actually. Some tips and tricks. Stay active in your forum thread, because the submission process can take a bit until your asset has gone live. People may lose the focus on your asset, and stay active in there. Listen to what they say in the forum threads if they have some suggestions on what they would like to see additionally in your asset or what to change. Do it. You should have the time. And if you make a few customers happy, you have quite some sales more than afterwards. And as the last point, be a pain to Epic, because the submission process takes a while. Sometimes in the Zendesk system or in the ticketing system of Epic, emails of you can get lost. So be a pain to them. If you don't hear back from them within 1 week, send them a mail. If they do not respond to the mail after 1 week, directly check back in the forum, send a private message to Stephanie Markov, which is the current marketplace lead. As said, be a pain to them and try to drive them. Regarding the pricing, it's really difficult to find the correct price. Stuff to consider is, what would you be willing to pay yourself, really? So imagine you're an indie developer, which will be your biggest audience on the marketplace. Would you pay, let's say, 400 euros for an asset that has some logic inside and maybe 10 meshes? Or would you more likely pay around 20 to 50 euros? Also, already count in the support you have to give afterwards. You have to upgrade your asset with every engine version, check that everything still works. Sometimes they have, especially for blueprints and code assets, breaking changes in a new version of the engine, so you have to update your asset. You will get many support emails for code. Okay, you will get questions on how everything works and how to set up stuff, how to use your asset actually, because your documentation will never be able to cover everything that you have, but also for props and skeletal meshes. People will also have questions and find some bugs that they would like to have fixed, so you will have to give support. Also, depending on the size of your asset, consider pricing for impulse buyers. If your asset is small enough and you want to sell it, at some price point, people will say, okay, even if it is crap, I will buy it anyway. So for 5 or 10 euros, you can't make anything wrong. There was already the problem in the marketplace that stuff was priced too high in the past, so not many customers did actually buy it. And what then can happen, the usual problem that everyone in the industry has, piracy. Some assets were pirated, then the one guy had like around 30 sales on the marketplace, but around 500 to 600 downloads on various piracy sites. Epic is fighting piracy. They are doing their best to take the sites down, but they are coming up faster than they can actually react. You can counter that stuff with the right pricing. If an asset with some logic inside would not cost 200 euros, but maybe 70, many more people would buy it. And you will get out of much more money, in fact, afterwards. So, let's assume your asset is live. Yay, you have the party, and now the money can come in, and you can lean back and just have fun time, right? No. First is you have ratings and comments for your asset. You will want to have comments that praise you on your marketplace asset, which can be easily achieved through giving really good support. Right now, the problem with comments is that they are not linked to the rating. Everyone can place a comment on there, and the next problem is you right now do not get a notification per mail or something else that someone placed a comment on there. So check your pages regularly. Right now, comments and rating are also present in the Epic launcher. They released that around, I think, 1 month ago or 1.5 months ago. In the past, it was only available on the web marketplace. So, again, your asset is live. Open a support thread in the forums. People want to post somewhere when they have problems, or even if they are really satisfied with your asset, they will also post in there. If you gave support to someone and he's happy with everything you did for him, and maybe you already made a game for some customer, tell him to post a thread or post something on the forums that praises your asset and gets in other customers. Updates. With every engine version, you have to do an update. Also, general functionality updates or for meshes and so on, put more content inside. If people see that you're constantly updating your assets, more people will buy it, because maybe right now you don't have enough content for them, but if they see you update it regularly and put more content inside, they will already buy it and say, okay, cool. And if they're happy with your updates and your support that you give, people may buy other assets that you already have on the marketplace too. So that's something to consider. A big point is sales. Put your assets on sales on the marketplace as often as you can. Putting something on sale is quite easy. Write a mail to the marketplace support and tell them, okay, you want to have minus 50% on that day or for that time period, and you're set. When you are on sale, you are most probably featured on the starting page of the marketplace. This gives a huge boost to sales. We will come back to sales a bit later. Payment. At some point, you will want to receive money from Epic. Also, a common pitfall is payment takes around 40 days to arrive. People were always waiting for the money and said, hey, Epic, why don't you give me the money that I've earned? It takes a while, so expect at least 35 days. Yeah, also, since I think around 2 months, they have an online sales report for you, so you can check your sales on a daily basis and also export it as a CSV to do some stuff in Excel with it if you want it. If there is any refund of your asset, you will also see it here. Also worth noticing is that if there is any refund for a customer, you will get the mail beforehand that someone requested a refund and why. Usually the policy of Epic is that people that have a problem with your asset first come back to you, ask for support, and only if you cannot give the support or something goes wrong, then a refund is issued. Regarding sales again, I said I'm a marketplace seller myself. Right now I have 2 assets on the marketplace, the top-down toolkit and the final camera. And after the first boost, when I got live, the curve of sales just settled down and, well, I sold about, let's say, 10 to 25 asset sales per month. When I was on sales, in August I had a 2-day sale, and suddenly this was boosted to almost 50 sales in just these 2 days. Also for the Xmas sale, I was featured on the start page for 1 week, and suddenly you can see just because you're featured, it doesn't matter if you really have minus 50%, minus 30%, minus 10%. The sales boosted up to over 170 sold. So think about it, put it on sale, because you will earn much more money with that than you lose because of any minus percent that you may give. Yeah, already approaching the end. As said, marketplace forums, an important point. Be active there, promote your asset there, marketplace support. Write them if you have any problems or have any wishes with the marketplace. If you have any questions or if maybe I myself can help you, just ping me per mail or on Twitter or in the forums. Yeah, any questions?
I have a question from one of the stream viewers, and he wants to know if it would be possible for the engine to check if an asset was bought before you can even build the game.
So the actual question is there any detection if an asset is pirated, right?
Yes, exactly.
Simple answer is no. There is nothing like that in place, and Epic also does not plan to introduce something like that, because if you have a copy protection mechanism, it will be hacked somehow, and it just does not work. And in fact, the actual problems that arise from copy protection always are only apparent on the end user side. So no, and it most probably won't be in the future. Any more questions?
Actually, I do have a question. You mentioned being on sale and being featured on the top on the page by Epic themselves. Is there, or do you have any other recommendations on how to get featured by Epic besides being on sale?
Yes, you can just, for most of the points or questions you have about the marketplace and being featured and so on, and generally about marketing on the marketplace, just write an email to the marketplace support or talk with Stephanie Markov directly. They are helpful, they try their best to help you with every questions, and it can also happen that they proactively write a mail to you asking if you want to be on sale on a specific point. Epic does sales like, let's say for Halloween, they do a Halloween theme, so horror assets will be reduced on that day. And if you want to be part of it, just write to Epic. Or if you have any idea maybe to be bundled for a limited time with another asset from a different content provider, just talk with them. Everything is possible, and they will do their best to make it work.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, then, a few last words. As this was the last talk for today, there will be a reception afterwards at 6:30, I think. 6:30 at the Fry Cafe. It's an awesome place. They're focused on virtual reality. You can have some fun there with virtual reality in the cafe. Big thanks at this place to Epic for sponsoring the event. For any non-locals, if you don't know where it is, there will be a bus at, I think, 6:15 downstairs in front of the university building, picking you up there, taking you to the venue. Except that, or beside that, if you can just ask any staff members running around here where this place is, follow us, or look it up online. Okay. And I think that was it for today. Thanks everyone for showing, and see you at the Friday party then. Bye bye.